Warning: adult content or content may be used. Viewer discretion is advised. We will be talking about whatever we feel like. Any words may be said. If you don't like it, eat salt and suck your dick.
You have been warned.
Eat a large sack of baby dicks if you don't like it. Anyway, welcome back. We're here to talk part 2 of the Let's Talk Power Rangers, or as it said, the rotten truth of Power Rangers, part 2. Now, when we get to Zeo, we touched on the Zords on last time, which weren't all that bad.
True.
When they come together, though, the Zord looks freaking weird. It has wheels on the bottom of his feet that it never uses. It changes so many helmets, and it's just overall, it's not that good of a design, but it works for them. But it doesn't really work for me because the feet are the biggest problem, because your feet aren't really even touching the ground, and it seems you're able to move when you shouldn't even be moving that quick, that fast with just that.
Very true.
But when we get into the analysis of their Zords, there's one Zord that remains awesome from the Zeo line, and that has to be the Red Battle Zord.
Yes.
AKA Rocky Balboa of the season. And if you're looking at our screen, no, you are not imagining things, because you are looking at my Bumblebee. If you want to look at Bulma's boobs, all you gotta do is say hashtag Bulma's tits. And I will switch cars. My friend Volt, shout out to Volt. If you want to be in the stream, if you got a PS4, you can be in the stream. I don't mind adding you.
Feel free to join.
Joining me again is our dear friend Darkside.
Welcome to the dark side.
The dark side of comedy, that is. Giggity giggity. My fellow Americans.
Alright.
I did gagoogity that girl. I gagoogity her gagoogin with my flavin'. Okay, so the Red Battle Zord itself is a fighting Megazord, which means it has Gatlings around its arms, which make it look badass.
Yes.
The way that it does isn't like anyone else because it's hard to control.
Yes, yes it is.
It is very hard to control.
And that should be the design I sent you to use for that game, whenever you figure out how.
Cool.
Give them a little joyful peek.
And I'm about to take a peek at it right now. You keep talking about, oh my god!
Good image, right?
You're going to hell with gasoline draws and a matching bra on, I'm gonna say that.
Oh, come on, you know you would love that design on that car.
Do you know what is going through my mind?
No, I have. No, I do not.
Good.
I am an evil little bastard. Alright. Now, let's see. Now, I don't actually remember seeing much of the Zeo series because they skipped that a lot when I was a kid, because the only way I could have watched it was on Fox Kids. And I know that they skipped through a lot of the episodes for Power Rangers, and they jumped right into, I seen a little bit of Turbo, and then they jumped right into Power Rangers in Space for me.
Okay, well, we're gonna just touch on Zeo. Well, I'm just gonna touch on Zeo. I'm gonna tell you everything that happened. Basically, this is Zeo in a nutshell. The Zeo crystal broken into 5 pieces: pink, yellow, blue, green, red. They meet a mysterious ranger, Gold, who is from the planet Triforia, which is a race of people who are 3 people in one. So unlike us Geminis, they are 3 people in one. And
That's
basically,
pretty
the
cool.
Triforian Ranger was driving a giant pyramid known as Pyramidas. Now, Pyramidas is a carrier Zord, which means when he stands up, because he does stand the hell up, and he does let you know that he's the king of the Zords. And
Yes.
basically, all the other ones would load in the bottom of them, and then there'd be a latch that comes down, and then the red Battle Zord would stand on top of them with the Gatlings all out. And Pyramidas would fuck you up every which way to Sunday, which means he'd stick his giant robot hands up your ass, swirling around till your guts came out. The
Now
next line
the
of Zords
gold,
that they got. Go ahead.
now the Golden Pyramid was one thing I remembered. Now that was actually pretty badass to watch.
Yes, and the thing is, like, with Tri, because his name was actually Trey, like Trey from Triforia, like, really, you guys are getting lazy, like Game Freak is with Pokemon. You guys couldn't think of a good name, so you named him Trey of Triforia.
At least they didn't name him Tri of Triforia.
Hey, I was going towards that. I was gonna call him Tri of Triforia, but basically he tried to pass his powers to Billy once he got separated because three people can't occupy the exact same Ranger suit. It is damn sure impossible. So he wanted to have another Ranger take his spot until he was able to reunite himself. So what happened? They tried to pass him on to Billy, but Billy could not get the powers due to the fact of the explosion from the power chamber or the command center, and he was unable to get it. So they decided they were going to get another vet ranger, aka that's when Austin St. John came back to become the Gold Ranger, and he succeeded for a little bit, but the Gold Ranger powers needed to be handled by a Triforian, so it only lasted him for a little while. But while he was the Gold Ranger, it was pretty cool to see Austin St. John come back, and you know, shout out Austin St. John is fucking awesome. And you know, once he did come back, he lasted for maybe 10 to 12 episodes, and then they gave him his powers back. They gave Trey his powers back. And basically, he went on to give them the Super Zeozords. Now, the Super Zeozords were shaped like the stars on their faces, like the shape on their faces. And they could form a Megazord. Now, the pink was the actual feet. Like, her Zord was split in half, lay down, and the rest of them would stomp right into her. So, pink was feet, green was ankles, blue was the bottom half, yellow was the arm section, and then red was the red was the middle part after blue. Then yellow would come on top and become the head and everything. So there's the Super Zeozords, along with the last Zord being I think that was it, along with a warrior wheel and Oric the Conqueror. Now Oric the Conqueror was the dumbest character they could have came out with, next to the Blue Centurion from Turbo, but we're gonna get into Turbo next. Let's see. So, when they never gave Zeo a proper ending until it went on to the movie, because they jumped straight from Zeo into Turbo, but they did a movie to transition them. Now, Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, we're going to touch on that because that's the way to get you into Turbo, which is what we're moving into now. So we shift gears into Power Ranger Turbo.
Awesome.
The movie started off with a space pirate Divatox who had nice tits.
Yes, she did.
And she basically wanted to marry a guy named Malagor who was sealed inside of a volcano because he was such a badass that they had no choice but to put him into a volcano. He was made of molten lava, and later on they would use the Malachi suit to make a guy for Power Ranger in space named Dark Spectre, but we're going to touch on that when we get to space. Basically, Divatox needed help from a wizard named Larigo. Larigo is friends with Zordon, of course, and he came
Larigo,
to Earth.
The cute little Mogwai.
Ewok. I call him an Ewok.
He reminds me more of the Mogwais from the Gremlins.
Well, then we'll call him a gremlin then. The little gremlin that came to Earth to help Zordon or whatever or something. Turns out Divatox took his baby mama / wife and was holding her hostage until Larigo decided to come back and be a good little slave. She didn't want him down. He opened. Now, this is where it gets funny because the person playing Rocky. Right. Now, when you look at the Rangers, you still have the same team from Zeo. Only thing is, here's where they switch it up. The Blue Ranger decided he wanted to be Mr. Chuck Norris and decided to try to roundhouse kick and threw himself out of the ring, landing on his back, hurting himself. Now that's a damn shame because
Yes.
I wondered, like, what the hell, man? Like, you guys couldn't figure out a better way to wipe him off. Maybe the enemy you guys were facing, like Divatox, came to Earth
Didn't he break
and
his
probably
arm or
blow
something?
him something up, or no, he actually broke his back.
Oh, shit.
He injured his back really bad, why he couldn't be in the next season, why they came out with the Kid Ranger, which was Justin. But the thing is, Justin found out that they were the Power Rangers because he hid under Rocky's bed.
Yes, yes, he did. And then he stole the Blue Ranger's
No,
power
he didn't
watch.
steal it. Rocky volunteered him to be the next Ranger since he knew the secret, and it's the only way Zordon could get him to shut up. Now, the other Rangers, before we even introduce Justin into the thing, we're going to talk about how the other Rangers decided they wanted to go rescue Largo. Largo basically said, you know what, I'm going to rescue my wife and my kids. So Tommy and them went back to the command center after Divatox tricked them, thinking that he was going to let Jason and Kimberly go, because Jason and Kimberly were coming back to help them during the tournament. Now, I'm sorry if I'm talking fast. I'm trying to get, like, cover main of the bases. And we're 11 minutes in, so I can afford to slow down. So Kimberly and Jason want to come back and surprise everyone by helping with the youth center or whatever goody cause that they were doing this time.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work out because Divatox caught them in the middle of scuba diving, held them hostage, along with taking Bulk and Skull, which was
I'm not
funny
gonna lie,
because
Yes.
everyone loves Bulk and Skull just because of the stupidity that they unleash.
Oh, they are awesome. They are the best. I love Bolt and Skull. And I
Yeah.
loved how they brought them back for Samurai, but Samurai just sucked.
Yes, it really did, but back to Turbo, let's see. So after realizing that Kimberly and Jason are still in Divatox's hand, they decided they're gonna up their powers and become the Turbo Rangers. Now the Turbo suits were created by Billy before he left to Aquitar, actually. And the Rangers designed their own Zords, supposedly. But the funny thing is, how can you design the Blue Ranger Zord without a Blue Ranger? So which means that basically the hole was right there, which means Billy built those Zords before leaving to Aquitar, and Zordon just let them believe that they were making their own Zords. They created the inside for them, but not the interior.
Outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what happens is the Zords are of two sizes, which means you can make a miniature Mega Zord or the giant Mega Zord,
Yes.
because of how the Zords can actually change sizes. Which was actually a great thing to do on Bandai's part,
Yes.
on Saban's part rather,
Yes. Once
because
they actually had size-changing robots.
yes, and I kind of think like the design for the Zords were not all that impressive though. The only two that were impressive was Red Lightning, Wind Chaser, and Mountain Blaster. The other two, Doomstar and let's see, I can't think of the other one. I'm trying to remember the name at the time. Oh, Desert Thunder.
Yeah, that's
Those two were not that inventive because the cars looked fake as hell.
yeah.
Everyone else has looked authentic while you guys just looked horrible. So sorry, I can't give you points for that one because the Sentai that you're dubbing that one off of is called Car Ranger.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. I actually used to have the toys of the Turbo.
Megazord.
Yes, and I
mean,
loved how they go together.
I do too because the thing is the pink part, she slaps into the wheels.
Yes, and the Pink Ranger's Zord
Counts
splits
as
into
two.
two. Yeah, it counts as two because it splits into half and it becomes the arms.
Yes.
And then the
Basically,
other one
it's a
splits into
crashing.
two.
It's all about crashing together because blue and pink are ramming at each other, and then pink latches in at the last moment and gets stuck. Then green and yellow have to slap together, and then turn around and head for you, and then slam into blue, who takes two things and basically sticks them up their faces. And then red jumps off a cliff and dives in. And then
Right
y'all
into
hit the
blue.
brakes. Yes, hit the brakes so hard that the Megazord stands the fuck up. And in Japan, the Megazord actually talks. Like, his face actually moves.
Oh, I've never seen that, but I do know that the cars are actually alive and that they speak, but they speak like frickin' R2D2.
Yes, but that's only in the Japanese footage. In the American footage, the cars don't speak at all.
Well,
You're thinking of two more Zords that we're gonna, or not Zords, but artillery cars that we're gonna get into. But
oh yeah, that's right. I'm thinking
yeah,
about the
yeah, we're not
other
gonna,
red
yeah,
one and the other blue one.
yeah, and I happen to know the names of those. I'll mention those in a second. So basically, the season starts off with the top 4 Rangers graduating from high school. Finally, you guys are like 25 and you're finally getting an on-screen graduation. Kudos to you guys
Yep.
for staying in high school longer than any other American
25.
person. So,
Congratulations, you are the world's failures.
no, they're not failures. Unfortunately, they're superheroes. But the thing is, they wanted to keep them in school long enough for the audience. Like, but they realized with these people growing up and they starting to look older, there's no way we can maintain the illusion that these guys are still in high school. So, here's what they did, and it's quite funny. They graduated them, but they let them pick their successors. Now, that means here go the switch up for everyone, because the Yellow Ranger, who was black, is now the Red Ranger, who is black and a guy. So, you have TJ, Cassie, Carlos, which I don't see how Carlos was chosen because he didn't show any type of real bravery. Ashley either.
True.
And Justin stayed because Justin, we hadn't touched on him yet. Justin was the replacement for Rocky when Rocky decided he wanted to leave the show. Now the way they left was because
the Red Ranger.
only when after he left the show. No. During Turbo, yeah, he still was the Red Ranger, but this is basically after Rocky got hurt. Then that's when they sent Justin, because Justin overheard that they were the Power Rangers. So to protect the secret, Zordon adopted him into the Power Rangers family.
Yes.
Now
I know during the movie the Red Ranger was the black guy. And
no,
later on
not
Oh, it was no. Oh, that's
it
right.
was
It's Tommy,
right.
and then it switches to the black guy.
Right. So basically, in the movie, since Rocky couldn't make it, they sent Justin, and Justin was like, "Alpha had to give me a crash course. Good thing you don't need a license to drive a Zord. I'm pretty sure your feet need to reach the pedals, though." But of course, Zords do have adjustable seats. Now, you know what would have been funny for the show? If Justin drove Mountain Blaster to school and hopped out, and everybody's like, I can't believe a 10-year-old is driving. Because they put him in high school. They put him in high school for the show instead of leaving him in grade school. Which would have been a funny way of doing something, but to tell you the truth, here's exactly what Power Rangers Turbo was. It was dubbed from Car Ranger, which was supposed to be like a comedy version, but you know how Power Rangers makes everything serious, so let's see, you have Divatox, and Divatox is a space pirate who came back to Earth to get her revenge on the Rangers for what they did to her in the, let's see, it's something triangle. I can't remember, it ain't the Bermuda Triangle. It ain't the quadrilateral triangle, I can't remember, but basically they defeated her and destroyed the Dark Spectre suit guy, and then they took their asses off that island. And now that we move forward in the season, when it's time for the Rangers to leave, everyone had to pick a successor. So TJ and Cassie saved Tommy, which got them the slots for pink and red. Blue stayed because, well, he was new, and it wouldn't be right to just leave him in there for a movie and then make him have to be replaced.
Now, here's something I thought was kind of cool. Whenever the kid would actually morph, he would get taller.
Which means when it came to the fight scene for the morph sequence, they switch him out for a full-blown adult. And he'd be doing voiceovers.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool, but then upon switching, they don't do it like what the original Turbo Ranger did. They didn't call out their elements in their thing. There was no Doomstar Turbo Power, Mountain Blaster Turbo Power. Everyone just morphed, and as he morphed, he grew taller.
Turbo.
Yes,
Then
as
they
you
had
can
the little
see.
key thing that they
Yes.
would shove in their morpher and turn the
Yes.
key, and then they would just spread their arms and they would morph.
Right. So when it came to the
No, shifted
Zords,
to turbo. That's
right.
That was the phrase.
right, and then when it came to their Zords, you know, when the original ones were stolen by Divatox's brother, they had a Phantom Ranger. After they had the Blue Centurion Ranger, who Divatox managed to turn evil for about 3 episodes, and then they freed him again. And then he gave Alpha and Zordon their freedom. Like, Larigo came back to give Zordon and Alpha their freedom, which means Zordon and Alpha left the show, yes, to go be with their own families. And I'm wondering one thing. Zordon is still stuck in a time warp, right?
Yes.
How the hell does he
Which
go to be
means-
with his own family? Which means they built a special pod for him on let's see, what planet was he
Or
from
maybe-
again?
Wait, hold on. Or maybe Larico found a secret spell or something.
No.
To fix.
I can disprove that because of In Space. They built a special tube on him
yeah.
for him to go back
Oh,
to
yeah,
be with his
that's right.
family on Eltar because he told him, Larigo has come to give me my freedom. And they took Alpha 5 with him. Alpha 5 went back to Edenoi.
Yes.
And let's see, you had a chick who was Divatox's sister, and the theory fit together. That Divatox had a twin sister, but Divatox is the same as her, kinda. The same actress played both parts, Divatox and Demetria. So finally, let's talk about the Zord fights now. When their original Zords were taken because they premiered another Ranger, which was their 7th Ranger, the Phantom Ranger, who everyone believes was Zordon's son.
Badass.
Everyone believed that was Zordon's son, though,
I wonder why.
because
They never showed his face.
actually he took his helmet off one time. They just never showed his face.
Yeah. Wasn't the Phantom Ranger the one that looked like a bull?
No, the Phantom Ranger was the guy who was dressed in all black and chrome, who had the ruby in
yeah,
the middle
yeah.
of his chest.
Oh yeah, that's right, that's right. Where did the Minotaur guy come in? I can't remember.
Minotaur?
Like he was.
Oh, you're talking about the Lost Galaxy Ranger, but we'll get into Lost Galaxy further down.
Wait, he was in Lost Galaxy?
Yes.
I don't remember. Oh
I'll-
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So,
Oh, God,
let's
my
see.
memory is getting terrible.
Ah. A friend of mine just sent me a picture on Facebook of him standing beside Jason David Frank. So that's who that was, who commented in my last stream. But okay, so for let's see. Sorry if you guys hear my horrible snapping, but okay, so he led them to get 5 new Zords, which were the Super Turbo Zords. Now this is where in a long line of Super Zords, the Power Rangers would use the title Super. Now those Zords not only came with a vehicle mode, but a high stance mode, which was basically their individual Megazord forms. Same as the Super Zeo Zords, as you can see, Super Zeos, Super Turbo Zords, or Turbo Rescue Zords as they called them.
Yes.
Now, of
And
course,
these-
Pink still stays split in half.
Yep. Now, didn't these ones actually talk?
No, none of these actually talked. What happened
Okay.
was, and I'm going to get to those, the talking ones in a second. What happened with those are, and this is exactly what's going on, these were a lot more powerful than the regular Turbo Zords. They were hidden by Zordon before he left, which means Zordon created 5 new Zords and left them in an underground bunker before he left.
Yes.
And when they needed them, it also came with a carrier Zord, so then they could get 2 big-ass giant artillery cannons to destroy their enemies with. But here's where everything goes, because each one of them had a high stance mode. You had an ambulance, a bulldozer,
those.
a dump truck, a police car, and a fire engine. Now, for the combination, what would happen is yellow and green would shrink down to their car modes, and the wheels would have disappeared. Blue would link on top to both of those. Then red would link on top of him, and pink would join as arms, and the head would pop out from the chest plate.
Now, I actually remember having that one as well.
They came with an artillery Zord, and then when they finally got all their Zords back and they were in a bind, they combined the two different types of mechs into a swapping, and that's where you get the whole certain Zords being able to swap thing, which will come in handy during further seasons, like if you look at Power Rangers Wild Force, because they did a lot more combination Zords. And you also, further down the line, get to see your very first clusterfuck. You would get what is known as a clusterfuck.
Yes.
Now, the turbo Rescue Megazord was not that bad of a clusterfuck. The only thing they did was the 2 feet, the Mountain Blaster, and the Red Lightning Turbo Zord, along with the Pink Ranger's Turbo Rescue Zord, all combined into one. And it was a lot more powerful, and it was able to defeat the enemy, get them free. Now the two little miniature assault vehicles are Lightning Cruiser and Storm Blaster. Now those two sound like R2-D2, only not as good.
Yes, and those are the ones that actually speak, but only the Rangers actually know what the hell they're saying.
Yes, and only two Rangers do they trust to even get inside unless you're with them, and that would be red and blue, and then on the back of them, green and yellow or pink would ride.
Yes, and
Lightning Cruiser came with 2 forms.
And what was funny is they actually spoke like Kit did off of that movie. The little red light flashing back and forth on the car. And
every time I saw that, I just thought, E.T. phone home.
I'm surprised you didn't think of Kit, the original talking car.
No, I thought of E.T. phone home.
That's what I thought when I saw Larry go, because he had the glowing fingers.
No, that was a wand.
Oh, that's right.
He was still E.T. though. He was a mix of E.T. and a virus. But, okay, so basically, to end Turbo, what would happen was, Divatox managed to storm the command center after, Demetria decided to leave the Rangers. And they were left to their own devices, which means they wouldn't know what the hell to do or anything. And they would have to defend against a squad of Piranhatrons and everything else that they could come with. But Divatox succeeded in blowing up their command center / power chamber / now in ruins. And it was in the desert, so nobody really ever decided, well, we're gonna go check what that explosion in the desert was. So, what happened was, they decided, well, we're gonna head into space to stop Divatox since we think that she's gonna go kidnap Zordon.
Well, technically he did get kidnapped, but...
Yes, but it wasn't by Divatox.
Yeah, that's what I just said, but it wasn't by Divatox.
It was by the guy who they defeated back at the volcano. When the original Rangers were there. Yeah, what happened was, Dark Spectre is what they call him. They just reused the suit from the movie, though. And gave him an actual voice, instead of making him, when he touched Divatox, electrocute the hell out of her.
True.
And the thing was, so they headed into space thanks to Nasada. They took, like, and this is where it gets kind of iffy because you guys aren't morphed, and you went to the space center where everyone could basically see your faces, but you told the guy, like, you were the Power Rangers. He gave you a shuttle, which was built by Zordon before he left, which means Zordon knew if anything happened, these fuckers were gonna come to space for him anyway.
Yep.
Because now we're heading into In Space, which was one of the greatest seasons ever, because at the beginning of In Space, you see the new Red Ranger, sitting at disguised, sitting at the table with them. And when Dark Spectre told everyone drink up because they captured Zordon and have been raging battle with the Aquitian Rangers. Right, the Aquitian Rangers, the Gold Ranger, the Phantom Ranger, the Blue Centurion Ranger, with all the, as I call them, auxiliary Rangers. When all those fighting off the forces, you know, Dark Spectre could use all his generals, which was every villain that we saw up until now, gathered in one place. That's King Mondo, Queen Machina, Prince Sprocket, Prince Ghastly, his wife. You have Lord Zed, Rita, Rito, Goldar, Squat, Babu. You have the whole entire line of everyone. And you also get introduced to the hottest villain that you'll ever meet. Dark Spectre's pride and joy, Miss Astronomer.
Oh, good God, yes.
And she wore the letter to the T.
Oh, yes, she did. I dreamed of shoving my face between those lovely thighs.
And she became what's known as the princess of all evil because Dark Spectre favored her. Now he sent her to go get the go after the new Red Ranger after he sped off on a new device that we would see called a Galaxy Glider.
Which are badass.
Which are, yes, badass, because this season of Power Rangers is dubbed from the season which is known as Mega Ranger.
I freaking loved this series. I have watched this one over and over. It is one of the best ones.
It also has one of the best character arcs for it, because here goes what happened after escaping the forces of evil and getting back to his ship, who had already sucked the other 4 Rangers in. Well, the other 4 in and linked with them, because now it's got an entire Megazord. It's able to become an entire Megazord because it has their shuttle. He mistakes them for enemies and proceeds to try to kick their ass. Yeah. But after his ship is attacked and his engine goes offline and he's able to see that they're not bad guys, and he says they're telling the truth, he decides to give them a chance and help them get back to Earth, because he says once he rescued them from Astronomer and brought them on board to his ship again, and they say, we're going to the Sumerian planet. He tells them, you dumb fucks, Zordon's not on the Sumerian planet. I just came from there. They transported him somewhere else. He befriends them and gives them their power morphers, which are activated by the code 335 Energize.
Which is actually the first time they actually had buttons.
Exactly. The code was, let's rock it. It pops open, 335, and then you see an E and an arrow that looks like a J, aka 335 Energize.
Which was awesome.
Now and I must say, the spacesuits actually look pretty badass due to the fact they're not your normal Power Ranger suits. They have the white, their main colors running through, and then they have every Ranger's color except for the silver one across the chest. Now we'll get into the Silver Ranger in a minute, because he was actually the second Ranger of the Mega Ranger series for us, but in Japan he was the prototype Ranger.
Yes.
But okay, so go ahead.
And he was my favorite, even though it was sad.
Now the thing with these guys, they already knew how to be Rangers, but with the Red Ranger, whose name in this season is Andros, with Andros' help, they learned how to operate through space. Now this is the thing, it was supposed to be centered around space, but it was not centered around space due to the fact they kept coming back to Earth.
Yes.
They only went to different planets every occasion.
Yes. Other than that, they had to go to Earth to save it because the enemy was distracting them by attacking their home planet.
Exactly. And that's why they never got to really rescue Zordon until the last episode. And this is what's gonna kill most Power Ranger fans, because you're gonna be like, why? But anyway, as we get into further episodes, you see the character development, and also the Yellow Ranger from the previous season, who is still the Yellow Ranger this season. You saw how big that ass actually was. Cause good lord, she had a fatty back there.
Oh yes. Now,
Ashley was one of the thickest Yellow Rangers that you could have ever come across. Now Cassie wasn't all that thick, but Cassie was an okay Ranger. Her background is Korean, I think. Now, when it comes to the character development, TJ didn't really get that much character development, seeing as he had character development in the last one.
yes.
You got to see what he was all about. Carlos got the most character development because he had the low self-esteem.
Yeah, and he was one of the new ones too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was one of the new ones, so he had to get into the swing of things, but couldn't. Now, they left the previous Blue Ranger on Earth.
Yes, but he could still morph.
Yes, and we're going to get into that when we get to Lightning Cruiser and Storm Blaster showing up again in this one, because it was a type of team-up, saying that they couldn't do a team-up because they reused certain Rangers.
Yes.
Now, once they were actually, like, mid-season, you'll get to see Justin again on Earth wondering how his friends are doing. And Storm Blaster, who escaped from Divatox because Divatox managed to take Storm Blaster hostage, along with Lightning Cruiser, which is the cars that, yeah, we don't know how exactly they got captured or whatever. He was able to get to Earth and find Justin, and he re-energized his Morpher, showing you that the turbo powers were not lost due to the fact they were just like the Zeo powers. They got stronger. The Zeo powers got stronger every day or whatever. But the thing is, like, he re-energized Justin's Morpher and gave it to him. Justin came to help his friend, and he looked at TJ funny when he saw that TJ was the Blue Ranger. He's like, hey, I'm supposed to be blue. You dumb fuck. Every squad of Rangers pretty much has a Blue Ranger. He told him, like, Justin, it's just me. Yes, he's like, Justin, it's me. He's like, oh, what's up, T? You look good. I was like, okay, this is funny.
Yeah, what's up, T? You look good in blue.
So, basically, you know, they freed Lightning Cruiser. And Lightning Cruiser, knowing it was TJ, he still had TJ's original Turbo Morpher that you would see him use again during the Forever Red season when we get to Power Rangers Wild Force.
I loved that episode. That episode was awesome. But
yeah.
It also made you wonder, how did the other Red Rangers able to do it? Because,
well, I mean, we touched on that last thing. Remember, just because their powers are damaged or something doesn't mean that they're not gonna get them back or whatever. Remember, it's like I said. This is what I think for the original Red Ranger. He went to go visit Ninjor after hearing a story from Tommy. He was able to find Ninjor's temple and ask him to restore the original Red Ranger Morpher.
Oh yeah, that's true. Too bad they didn't just do all the rest of the Morphers and just bring back those sets of Power Rangers. That way there would be more Power Rangers on Earth.
Well, and then this is where you get into the controversy, though. This is where you get into the controversy, because there is actually more than one team fighting. It's just at different times. That's why you get all these team-ups and everything. Now, when we look at In Space, they didn't get to do the whole team because, like I said, they recycled the cast. When in reality, they could have went back and gotten Tommy, Tanya, Kat, Justin, and Adam. And there go your team up for Turbo and In Space right there. But I don't think they thought about it like that, and they just gave him a little small shout out. Yep. So, after that, let's see, you get to see another Megazord, because this one was premiered before what we just talked about. You got to see the Delta Megazord. The Delta Megazord is just another bigger ship, and it came with Gatling fingers. It also came with the with the Battleizer Morpher, who he wouldn't get to really use until around the time that the little dome episode happened, where little girl puts 3 on his Battleizer and it morphed him into his Battleizer sequence, which basically his buffed up Ranger outfit on steroids with a giant wing glider behind it.
Which was actually really kind of sweet.
It really was, but they could have done better with the design, because if you look at some more of these Battleizers, the designs get better. But basically, you get to see the 6th Ranger around maybe episode 10 or 11 when they premiered him, but we're going to talk about the 6th Ranger in a second. We're going to get back to the whole Carlos thing, because his Ranger development reached its peak at that point when Adam came back and saved his ass from Quantron, which goes to show you Carlos was not strong without his Ranger powers. He was just a scary little crybaby bitch.
Yep.
Because Adam was able to fight off Quantrons without his powers. Now, while training the new Black Ranger to be the Black Ranger, he pulled out the morpher, and Carlos was like, "Are you mad? I thought your powers were destroyed." Alpha was like, "Even morphing into this could destroy you because the power coins were destroyed." And you see the crack through the mammoth coin.
Yes.
But doesn't mean it's not operational, it's just damaged.
Yes.
And once morphed into it, you saw him in his full-blown Ranger glory, fighting off Quantrons until the toll took on his body.
Yes.
Which goes to show you, these are not just people for the belief of the series. These are not just people in spandex fighting around, constricting their nutsacks to the fact to where you're gonna need to have surgery to get this shit removed. These are actual people who gain power from these suits. These suits keep you from bleeding, leaking, and getting your head cracked open.
Yes.
And I kind of think
they are called power suits.
Exactly, and I kind of think that it was badass that he was able to fight him off for as long as he can before finally fully demorphing and not actually dying.
Yes.
Now that goes to show you that. Go ahead.
And because thanks to his power suits, they're able to punch cement walls without breaking their fingers.
Exactly, even though we all know this is just spandex and gloves.
Yes.
But
and what they likely punch with styrofoam.
Right, and here's the thing. They show you how well this stuff actually goes together, and how well they're actually able to do this. Now, after all the Rangers come back together and Adam realizes, well, not Adam, but Carlos realizes, well, I'm an important part of the team. Dude, you are an important part of the team for as long as I can freaking remember. Just stop being a little crybaby bitch and fall in line. Which also, now that we get to the 6th Ranger arc.
Ooh, let me talk about this one. Alright. Now, what was his name again? I can't remember his name.
Zane.
Now, Zane, he was on this ship the entire time. He was sick.
In a healing chamber.
He was sick on the verge of dying in a healing chamber, stuck in a form of reanimation.
I wouldn't say reanimation, I'd say more of cryogenic containment.
Cryogenic stasis. Now, there is an episode where the ship gets attacked and it loses power, and the stasis pod malfunctions, and it opens, and he wakes up.
Fully healed, I might add.
Fully healed. And he already has his morpher. Because before he got sick, he was Andros's partner.
Which means that the rest of them are numbers 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yes. And what's cool about the Silver Ranger suit is that the whole thing is completely super shiny as fuck and silver. And instead of having the other Rangers' colors on his chest, it was all black.
Actually, they weren't black. They were, you know how, like, when you make a, cyberboard, how it'd be, black and green? It was black and green across the entire chest because in Mega Ranger, the Sentai that, In Space was dubbed from, the 6th Ranger suit, which was Zane's, the Silver Ranger suit, which is Mega Silver, is, how can I put this, is a prototype. Which means it wasn't actually supposed to be used, but it still got used. So in order for us to do it, we put it in a story arc like he got attacked, damn near destroyed, put in a healing chamber, put into cryogenic containment until it could heal him, if it healed him at all.
Which it did, but it took a long ass time, and for the thing to malfunction to actually heal him.
Actually, it healed him before it malfunctioned. The thing is, and here's what happened, it drained him of his ranger powers to where every time he would morph, he would get like a 5-minute battle sequence before his powers gave out. So what happened? I know. I'm gonna take it upon myself to find a planet with a thunderstorm happening, and I'm gonna get my morpher struck by lightning. Because if nobody, if you actually look at how his morphing sequence went, it went 2, 5, 8, 0, which was spelled out Mega on his morpher.
Yes.
Which lets you know that he was the 6th, or he was the 2nd ranger, but technically 6th because how the colors on their outfits lined up. His was still a prototype.
Yes. Which, honestly, he was actually a lot more powerful than the others.
And they come from a planet where humans are in a colony known as KO-35. I forgot to add that in the beginning of the video. Andros has psychic powers along with his sister Corone. Zane showed no hints of psychic powers. And in a plot twist, we're gonna reveal to you something about Astronomer that's gonna rock your world if you've never seen In Space. And just to let you know, these are all walking spoiler alerts. So if you don't like it, eat a sack of baby dicks and let's continue with the review.
Well, technically it's not a spoiler alert considering that these shows came out back in early 2000.
Well, I mean, for anybody watching them and hadn't made it that far yet, these are spoiler alerts. For anybody just seeing them, because, But, okay, so to really sum it up, Zane went off on his own to find, like, a couple rebels or whatever, because they did find rebels of their homeworld that had been abandoned, KO-35. They built him an entire Zord of his own, known as the Mega Winger. Now, the Mega Winger was an entire spaceship with a giant wing on its back that would combine with the other Rangers to give them the ability and one of their Megazords to fly. Now, their third Megazord that they found were 5 individual Zords known as the Mega Voyager pieces. Mega B1, Mega B2, B3, B4, and B5. Mega B1 was a astronaut. Mega B1 was an astronaut. Mega B2 was Carlos's little jet thing. Mega B3 was the rocket. Mega B4 and 5 were Cassie and Ashley. And they would all form into this one big giant thing where the rocket was the majority of the body.
Yes, and I'm not gonna lie, I had that toy as well, and I could never for the life of me figure out how the hell to put it together.
Well, if you still have the toy, probably locked up somewhere. Well, if you would have watched the review on YouTube, you could have figured out how to put them together. Just like I had to go watch it, because in the show, the Shogun Zord configuration never really caught on to me until I watched it on YouTube a bunch of times. The legs for the Shogun Zords would fold up, and then he would latch on to to black and yellow, and then white and blue would close up and join his arms, and then his head would be like this giant crane thing that came out of nowhere. But anyway, so the Mega Voyager was actually a pretty good Zord, but like most Power Ranger Zords, they end up destroying half their freaking artillery anyway.
Yep.
Most of their Zords go down in flames, including their mega ship, who ends up getting rebuilt anyway later on.
For Lost Galaxy.
Right. And the thing is, like, these Zords are actually pretty good, the design, because the Zords for this season are basically either just 2 pieces or 5 individual Zords. Or just one by itself, because the Delta Megazord was just a Megazord by itself. The Astro Megazord was just the ship would separate, fold down feet, and then the hands would come from under, up, and like onto shoulders, down, and then the head would separate, become a whole Megazord head, and then latch on. Now, the astronaut was actually the funniest part of the Mega Voyager, because it would join in the middle, and then parts of it would fold up and fold down, and then it became a centerpiece, and then like it would latch on to parts of the rocket, and it was funny to me.
Yeah, it was really strange.
Yeah, but it also fit together pretty good, and it was a good Megazord until it got destroyed.
True.
And then once you get past all their Zords, and after a whole little story twist, we find out that Astronomer and Andros are actually brother and sister.
Yes.
And as she tried
Astronema
to
had
leave, forces of
and
evil weren't
Astronema.
letting her go.
Yes. Now Astronema had her memory wiped. Kinda had her memory wiped and was made to believe that her brother was killed.
Exactly. By
Which
the
is
one and
why,
only Zordon is exactly why she sought revenge on him.
yes. And whenever she found out the truth and wanted to go and join and be with her brother, what was the bad guy's name? The one that was black and green?
Ecliptor.
Ecliptor put a chip on her head.
Actually,
which made her-
no. Because Ecliptor tried to return her to Andros back when she found out that that was her brother. But seeing as he served Astronomer only, Dark Spectre, since you're not gonna serve me, I'm gonna force you to. He upgraded him by chopping off both his arms and putting cybernetic enhancements on him, causing him to become obedient to Dark Spectre, which would not last because his obedience to Astronomer was a little bit more stronger. But when she went back and decided that she was going to try to help rescue Zordon, Ecliptor then put the chip on her head, and anytime that her memory would come back, you would see a surge of electricity.
And it would cause her pain and would immediately make her forget.
Exactly, and here's where most people would probably think we forgot to mention, Astronomer was a regular teenage girl because she changed her hairstyle up like 50 billion times during the entire season. Only when she got the little chip implanted did she stay with the little red wig.
Yes.
But she was one of the most competent villains, even though she was defeated week by week, and would throw a fit like a regular teenage girl would. Fire the saddle lasers. I got something to fire. It's called this dick up your ass.
Hell no, I'd rather eat that pussy first.
Well, there you go. Darkseid eats the booty like groceries.
No, I eat pussy. I don't eat the booty. Nah, that's a no-no for me. Not even if it smells like soap to me. A little pussy, but no booty hole for me. You bitch is getting a little too bold for me.
I think if anybody sees that, we're gonna get more views than we ever have. But anyway, okay, so to end this one, because we have 7 minutes actually, 7 minutes and some change to end this one. When the Rangers finally did decide to go rescue Zordon, they finally helped. Most of them were beaten on Earth, and then they all regrouped and decided how they were going to do this. So 5 Rangers band to help on Earth, while the Red Ranger decided he's going to run his ass up to the ship and rescue Zordon. To the Dark Fortress is what it was called. And the Dark Fortress was really a good ship because it was like half intangible, half visible. So you could only see half of it at a time anyway.
Yes. And let's see, not long after they saved Zordon.
Wait, we're not even going to mention the whole save Zordon thing yet because it's going to be a slight M. Night Shyamalan fuck you up type twist. Basically, Andros got on there and he fought with his sister. His sister damn near kicked his ass because he didn't want to fight his own blood. And her blast was reflected at her, causing her to get knocked the fuck out. Ecliptor
Fall off her head.
No, the chip stayed on.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It wasn't until Ecliptor decided to do battle with Andros, and Zordon told Andros, "You must shatter my energy tube. I'll be dead. You'll be my murderer, but you'll free everyone in the universe from evil." Because In Space was supposed to be the last installment of Power Rangers, to be honest with you.
Yes, there wasn't supposed to be any more Power Rangers after In Space.
But they did so well picking up the audience back that Saban decided to continue.
Yes, and when they shattered that tube,
Rita became... Go ahead, I'm gonna let you go ahead and make your point.
An energy wave went throughout the whole entire universe, got rid of all the evil. Every bad guy turned good.
Almost every bad guy turned good. Most of them actually
almost
got destroyed. There was only a couple few that got saved, and after you mention your point, I'm gonna touch on everyone who was actually saved.
Now, there were some that were saved, all the others were destroyed, but the point is, evil was gone. There was only good. Now you can go on.
Now here are everyone who survived. Rita Repulsa and Lord Zed were turned to Mystic Father and Mystic Mother, even though Mystic Father is never mentioned. And they had a son.
Yep. Who ends up being evil.
Because he didn't want to follow the lineage of his father and his mother. But anyway, let's see. So Mystic Mother and Mystic Father were turned from Rita and Zed. Rito was destroyed. Master Vile was destroyed. Divatox was saved and turned back to where she actually had both her eyeballs now instead of just the one.
Yeah, and she even got even better looking.
Yeah. Let's see. Elgar was destroyed. Ecliptor was destroyed. Quantrons were destroyed. The entire Machine Empire was destroyed, except for the few rebels who hid too far for the energy wave to reach. That's how they said.
Yes.
That's how they solved the little all people in the universe thing that Zordon tried to do.
Yeah.
But basically, what they tried to do, they succeeded in mostly, because we even left a couple of things out about In Space, including the entire team of evil Rangers known as the Psycho Rangers.
Oh, good God! No. I mean, they end up doing that for so many shows after that. It's ridiculous.
The Psycho Rangers were too overused, but I must mention them because they gave the Rangers one hell of a fight. And that's when each Ranger's character development actually came into view, because you saw how they destroy each one. Like, TJ decided to destroy Psycho Blue, everyone would dress up as a Blue Ranger and confuse him. And it worked.
Yes, it did.
Psycho Red and everyone else was taken out the usual way. I don't remember how each Psycho Ranger was taken out, but actually they were turned into key cards later.
Yes. And I mean, the Psycho Rangers, after they were cool the first time around, then after that they kept getting used over and over in different frickin' seasons of Power Rangers.
Well, they only got used for 2, and that was In Space and Lost Galaxy.
I think they got used one more time though. I think they also did.
No, because Psycho Pink never made another appearance after she was destroyed by Lost Galaxy Rangers. But we're gonna get into that in the next one, because we only have 3 minutes to really finish this one up. But basically, after defeating everyone, and Astronomer laid sort of kinda lifeless, kinda knocked out on the floor, Andros exited unmorphed because all the Rangers' power after the wave, they were powered down. Their powers were never destroyed, they just got powered down. After the fight, Andros laid Astronomer out on the ground. His mystical psychic tears fell on her face, reverting her back to Corone.
Yes. Oh, we forgot to mention that she turned into this vile, ugly, nasty little butterfly thingy.
Who? Psycho Pink?
No, Extremina.
Astronomer never turned into a butterfly.
Like, didn't she go into that little cocoon to get...
No, you're thinking of Trakina from Lost Galaxy.
Oh, yes, my
and and she became a mantis, actually. But we'll touch on her a little bit on tomorrow's video.
Yes.
But let's see. So basically, everyone decided, well, we're gonna go back to Earth. Andros decided he wants to stay on KO-35, but then remembered how much he loves Ashley. And came back to Earth. And I'm gonna put it like this: he porked her for hours.
And then the ship that they were flying in became a museum piece with everything inside of it,
including Alpha 6. Now, yes, there was a second Alpha added, which was Alpha 6. And his voice chip went from being cool slang to being just annoying. I want to rip Alpha's voice box out and play hopscotch on the highway with it.
It went like super high pitched and was ridiculous.
I'm warning you, I know karate. Like, dude, it's karate, not karate.
Oh god, that was just terrible.
But it served
Okay.
for a good arc for the Silver Ranger. But basically, the Rangers themselves sacrificed most of their Zords, only having two left, which was the Mega Winger and the Astro Megazord.
Yes.
Who the Green Ranger from Lost Galaxy swore up and down never flew. Like, dude, there's an engine in there. What the fuck could the engine be used for but to make a ship fly?
Yep. I don't know how they can say it never flew.
Like, you never
It's a
even...
museum.
You only worked on it. You never used it. You only worked on it. It's how you even probably built half the shit you built for Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Because you were the inventor of Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. The inventive dude. Which means you knew about quantum mechanics and cybernetic technology and all that good shit.
Because he also built Alpha 6.
No, Damon didn't build Alpha 6. But I bet he kept Alpha systems running.
Yes, he did his maintenance checks and kept them working, and he would repair them if he got damaged.
Exactly.
Alright, so, this is your boy, Darkside.
And your boy, Black Joker 46, signing off. We out like fat bitches in dodgeball in the middle of a rainstorm when there ain't nothing to do outside.